Board, and you can start our podcast.
All right, here we go. Okay, why isn't it going?
I don't know. You broke it.
I broke it,
The,
apparently.
the cat ate the mouse.
I'm hitting the start button. It says something went wrong.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, something went wrong. Oh, here we go. Now we're all set. But it's still acting funny. Hold on just a second here.
Yeah.
What the hell? I have never seen this logo before.
Okay.
It says, let me go ahead and give me a, hold on. Let me make sure I got this.
Maybe you should restart
Yep, I got you. I got you plenty. I got
Okay.
you coming in just fine. Yeah, I don't know what this thing is trying to upgrade or something. All right, here we go. Hate when there's upgrades and they add a new thing and they don't warn you. Here we go. How you doing, everybody? This is Dennis Michelson. Welcome to the science of fantasy football. Why the science of fantasy football? Well, you get a meteorologist and a biologist together. They're going to use the scientific method, which is a much better way to use statistics. How can I say anything definitive on anything nowadays? Well, it's very simple. The scientific method just means that we're going to let the statistics guide us to an answer instead of having an answer in our mind and going to search for the statistics to back ourselves up. And joining me as he does each and every week, twice a week, 3 times a week now, if you count our sister podcast, the Matchup Lab, over on the sports affiliation. He is the fantasy professor out, and he's a real professor. It's Dr. John Bush. And John, we're week 7 underway. Yep. And I think a lot of folks doing a lot of backpedaling on their Chase Brown and Jamar Chase tweets from a couple of weeks ago after
and
last
even
night.
Their T. Higgins, I thought.
Yes.
That was an interesting game. Some of the metrics I use kind of are looking backward, and this was I should have listened. My ear was too small. I needed to hear you more, Dennis. Good call. You picked the upset. You did well. As far as starting players, our DAP said play them all. I knew to do that, and so I was able to collect where I had Chase Higgins. The only misstep, I had Noah Fant in a few places, but I had some more like a Kittle maybe coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, there was just some other Ferguson, Kraft. There was just some other, tight ends that I thought were a little bit better as far as going to get me points this week. But we did mention the tight ends as we was play them all.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was good call. Hooray! Even for a Thursday, that was suspicious.
That was
on
my only worry.
But then I started thinking, Dennis, that how else are they going to kind of hide the bias to the Chiefs? Is you kind of got to let a few other teams have some good times, see, and everybody's watching over there, and they forgot what just happened in week 6, all the rigging that was clearly going on, to support the washed up Kansas City team. At least that's what Twitter would have you believe. And
hey,
but the washed up Chiefs there, and we're gonna let Cincinnati and Pittsburgh have their fun, and everybody's gonna focus on that, and they'll forget the Chiefs.
Well, as my old grampy, Hot Rod Mulligan, used to say, and he was
Yeah.
he'd like to race his little stock car out there at all the back roads tracks. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Hot Rod Mulligan said.
Yeah.
So that's just it. Now I felt really good about that prediction because I did to say it is Thursday night. So I worry about that. But, I think these guys are into the rhythm of the weeks now, and that early turnaround isn't harming them now as much as it did the first couple weeks when they weren't quite in playing shape yet. Now, if there's an injury, yeah, they're not going to be ready by Thursday. But if everybody's NFL healthy. I say that because by week 6, everybody's beat up to some degree. But to be NFL healthy and to have that quick turnaround isn't really bothering them as much now that they're in game shape than it does the first 2 weeks, the first few weeks of the season when that's there. But, I said mid to upper 50s on points, and I was wrong. It was a 61-point game, so I'm okay with being wrong, or 64-point game. I'm wrong, I was wrong, but I was well over the over. I like that over bet. That's the one that I like more than anything else. I was glad that we were proven right, but again, it's all about following the process and following the data.
Yep.
The reason I had all of the week before, I had about half of my Chase Brown shares in action. Last week or this week, yesterday,
Everybody.
had every
Chase Brown, Higgins, Chase.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, I didn't play my Fant shares. That was the only thing that if I knew now.
I started 2 Fant shares, but
that's great.
But I had Otten over Fant, and I'm okay with that.
Well, I tell you what, I was on the fence because I was worried that if Evans came back, that might shift it. But Ibuka's out, so then I started rethinking it. But I'm concerned when they get their full complement back.
Oh, yeah.
That I may be moving on from Otten because early in the season, Dennis, he was sad.
Oh, he was sad. And for me, he's kind of the replacement week plug and play.
Yeah.
I don't want to be depending on him. He's a bye and injury week guy.
Yeah.
And I had a couple of Mark Andrews teams on
and Dennis, I was just in my snaps report, I was looking, and Lively is back and got, I think, one more snap over Andrews. I'm not pleased. And his scoring per snap, Andrews has been sad. Even with Lamar there, it wasn't great. So I'm just I'm stuck with Andrews. Nobody, I could drop him, and I've debated maybe that's, a poison pill that people will take, but there's not a lot out there.
No, there's not a lot out there. I'll agree with that. I had one league where I had a tough decision because we play very narrow benches, small benches, and there wasn't a single running back or other player that I wanted that I felt I could cut because I didn't want to give them to somebody else. I knew that I'd be giving up a player. So I cut Mark Andrews, hoping he would slide through on the bye week and I could pick him back up on the other side. I'm not the least bit worried that he got picked up by somebody else because I'm like, he's been a frustrating player this year. So I'll just go ahead and stream. I'll pick and choose and stream and see what I can find. I'm okay with that. Andrews wasn't winning me any leagues anyway. Versus some of the running backs that I would have had to cut would have not only I would have not only missed them in the coming weeks when we have Buymageddon coming up pretty quick, but I would also not want to see them score points against me on my opposition. And that brings me to my point is that you always have to look ahead in fantasy football. People are like, oh, yeah, of course. I got 5 guys on bye this week. I got to look ahead to. No, you should have been starting to plan for week 7 on the weekend of week 5.
Yeah.
So what I'll do in a lot of leagues when I've got a bye week coming up for one of my guys is I will start shopping for his replacement, for his 1 week replacement. And I'll see, is there a player on my roster that I don't plan to use for the next 2 weeks anyway? If so, that's the guy that's vulnerable. I don't want to get rid of a handcuff to my lead running back, but another wide receiver is usually where I'll go. So with week 8, we got 6 teams on bye.
Yep.
And with so many injuries out there, combined with 6 teams missing in action,
it's going to be lean.
It's lean and then some. So you got to start thinking about that week. This week, you can't wait until the worst comes to play. But here's one strategy that I did use in FPPC this year.
Yep.
Usually I don't pay any attention to bye weeks. Okay, I figure if I have one bad bye week, so what? But when I went looking at the schedule and I saw 6 teams on bye on the same week, it's the only week that we have that this year.
Yep.
I didn't want a lot of guys from week 8. Like I didn't want to have to replace 4 guys on week 8. So if it came to it and I had a choice between player A and player B, and I already knew I had 2 week 8 guys on my roster, I wasn't adding a third. It was a tiebreaker. It wasn't the difference between taking Bijan or taking, Jonathan Taylor or whatever. I know Bijan isn't a week 8 bye week, but I'm just saying it's not like taking an elite guy over a really good guy, a top 3 over a top 10, 12 guy. I'll define elite there since we don't define things too well in this industry. But if it's 2 players in a similar tier and I can't break that tie any other way, I'll look at the bye week. And if it was a bye week 8 and they were in the same tier, I was being very cautious not to have too many guys on Buymageddon.
The advantage at the FFPC, Dennis, is they have weeks ahead where you can see and you can actually pull up your rosters ahead. And I know most sites have that, but they have a screen where you can just look at the positions in red. That's, they're out. And then you can click and get into it. So, if you scroll and see there's nobody on bye that you worry about, in other words, what's going on this week in 7 can be played again. That just saves me time. And so I already went through, and believe it or not, I can field a team everywhere. I even had 5 buys on, some leagues, and I was still able to field a team because of the 2 flexes, right? And people like Scataboo that I, picked up that has turned into something. Vidal, Bam Knight, Carter, Bill, these things that weren't necessarily the potential that I would have drafted so much. Now I've got them, and so I got a lot of coverage from the running backs that I've been hoarding, and they're turning into something. And I'm just waiting now. The next shoe is Kendra Miller. If Kamara, and I, he may gut it out this week, and that's fine, but just in case, I've got enough shares that I can shoehorn him in place of Kamara in a few places uh, that way. So I've already done my week 8, and you're saying, well, are you done with week 8? Like done? No. What I'm doing the
No.
next couple nights,
Yep.
Dennis, is I'm going to go in and look at what's going on and see, do I need to replace? In other words, just because I can field a team doesn't mean there might be a second flex wide receiver with a good match next week that I might be able to trade, in that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
I've got to do some more thinking, but my first stop is, can I field a team?
Yes.
Okay, that's step 1. Step 2, then. And also, week 9, I think I have a lot of issues as well. And if I have time Saturday night, I'm gonna work on that as well. Just look 2 weeks ahead now,
Yes. Yeah. And
especially in my close teams. I've got some that I'm seventh, eighth in the
yes.
league on points, and I
Yep.
really don't want to lose any ground. I want to keep right there so I can slip in at spot 6 and get into the playoffs. So I can afford it, 2, 3, the drop a little bit. But, where I'm fighting to get, I'm greedy. I want everybody in the playoffs, you know. And so I will be looking at week 9 as well. I think Philadelphia's got some buys week 9, I think. I may be wrong on that, but I invested too much in AJ Brown and Devonta
Oh,
Smith.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I fortunately got Goddard in a lot of those too. So I was, I got Hurts and those two and Goddard. So I did some superfecta drafting, and it hadn't helped me as much as I thought it was going to help me at all. But anyway,
But
I agree with your strategy. I'm doing
y-
something similar, and I
yep.
urge people now to do it. And you're saying, well, you got family and everything. Well, I'm going to tell you, if I'm retired, so I got all the time in the world, but I'm, fielding 38 teams or whatever. That's how I can do it. I have the time. Dennis has extra
Yeah.
time. So
But here's the thing, Professor, for
you don't want
going
a divorce over too many
no,
teams,
no,
folks.
going through waivers for me is about a 1 hour process because I'm very thorough in what I'm looking at. I'm looking at specific positions and players, but I'm also looking at who got dropped, who's available that
Mhm,
wasn't available last week.
mhm,
So I've got a process, and it takes me about an hour. That's it. So for all of my teams, 1 hour while I'm just sitting there watching TV or whatever. I'll a lot of times on Sundays I will start setting up my waivers for the following week for FPPC because you're there, you're watching the games, you see, oh, if there's an injury, boom, okay, I need to replace this guy. If you do it a little bit at a time throughout the week as you're checking your teams, it really doesn't take a lot longer to manage. I have 18 FPPC teams, and I've got another 10 redraft teams in various other leagues. So I have about 28 teams. Combining those 28 with all my dynasties, hour. It's an hour of work. That's it. Every week, if you do it right and you plan ahead and you have a process. And, I don't think that's a lot of time. You learn a lot about rosters and about who's got what as you see what's going on. And you just start seeing patterns out there that can help you out. So I do have a question for you
Uh-oh.
today because there is a situation
Uh-oh.
where, and you know me, okay, you've been working with me long enough. If there is a two running back, time to make a decision,
Mhm.
I have one of three answers every week, right? I have a definitive, this is the lead guy. I have a, it's going to be a split, or I don't know how it's going to work out. I have one this week where I honestly don't know how it's going to work out. I'm leaning towards it being a split, but I don't know how it's going to work out. Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle.
Yeah.
What in the heck do you do with that Carolina running back position? And here's why it's important. It's been a potent performer against really, from except for the toughest defenses, it's been a potent. You have won more weeks than not if you've had the Carolina running back in your lineup. It's been a good spot this year, but I don't know whether to be Rico or Chuba leading in volume this week.
Yeah. So let's look at the snaps. Since I've got that data, I put out the snap report. Dennis, I made a video. I had been doing a lot. I don't like to type. Okay, I've done enough typing the rest of my life. I like to talk. I know it's surprising. Professor likes to talk, but I like to talk. So I just screen record. So I went through all the data today, put it up on our my process YouTube site that connects with our Science of Fantasy Football. And so in the article, you can watch and hear me run my mouth. Don't know if I help you, but here's the hardwired uh, uh, data here. And I was focusing on PPR per snap scoring.
Yep.
And I went, and so Carolina's right in the middle. So there's nothing gained there.
Nope.
So let's go to, and Carolina running back wise, it's let's see, where's it at? Carolina running back. Let's see, what do they look like? They stick all their eggs in the running back basket as far as scoring, Dennis. So you can get a feel by this graph here of the usage percentage, and anything above 30 gets my attention. And their tight end's been the saddest for them, and their wide receivers hasn't really been that strong either.
No.
So it's all been running back. And by the way, take a look at Cleveland. So sometimes you'll see teams that are like that. And that's interesting. Look at Atlanta. Bijan, he's the show, Dennis.
Wow.
He is. If something happens to him, I don't know what Atlanta's going to do. So anyway, I see that running backs are critical. So I will tell you that if they do cut themselves too deep and lose points because they're not going hot hand or whatever, they can't. I don't think they're going to be able to make it up elsewhere. So I'm convinced that they are going to use those guys together. And the proportion is probably what you're worried about more than anything, right? It's not assuming Hubbard's healthy. So if you look at the snaps, the ratio wasn't too far off on some weeks. Look at weeks 3 and 4, especially. Not too far away. So one might say, if you flip those numbers, would that be realistic for Hubbard's coming back?
Interesting.
Or would it, so it could be a 43 for Dowdle, 20 for Hubbard kind of snap. Don't know about touches, but just so I don't think it's 50-50. I think they're going to flip the script a little bit, and it's going to be high 30s, 40, and Hubbard's low 20s. Just based on what I'm seeing here, we could look at the DAPs later while we're out looking in our, looking at the matchups. But right, and we can go to that. I've got that data. We can look at that if you want to continue down this rabbit hole. But that's how I see it. Is I think the script flips from weeks 1 to 4. I don't think we'll see Dowdle being 63. I don't know. They must have had overtime or something. Must have been going crazy week 2.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what it looks to me. So I'm guessing, what is that, 55, 60, 40-ish? So
Yeah.
Hubbard's going to get his time. I just
So,
don't know.
yeah. And here's the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Weeks 1 and 2,
Mhm.
it was dominant Chuba.
Yeah, but
Chuba had
snap wise,
snap wise. So Chuba was leading the way on everything. I mean, he had 2-1 on him the first week and almost 3-1, well, 2.5-1
mhm,
in week 2. He had 17 and 18 point weeks.
mhm.
Okay. You look at weeks 3 and 4 where they were really close. Like that to me is a split backfield. It's 8 different and 13 different. That's huge. That's like that's a big change from what they did in weeks 1 and 2.
Yep,
Chuba fell to 9 and 9
yep,
weeks 3 and 4.
yep.
So, you know, and Dowdle only had 10 and he had 4. Okay. So he went 3 and 2 when he was getting almost nothing. He went to 10 and 4 when he was getting something, but a 50-50 mix. Last 2 weeks, 32 and 33 is the top dog. Now, granted, those were against 2 relatively weak defenses, but the key here is when it was a muddied middle, nobody was a value. Like,
And I'm telling you, the coach has got to see where their points have been scored. And I
yeah,
do not think Carolina can win if they muddle it too much, Dennis. So if they put too much Hubbard in, I think it's going to cost them. And I don't even know who they're playing, but I'm just saying, looking at their scoring and usage compared to the tight ends and the running backs, I mean, the wide receivers, other than Ted McMillan, I think that Ted McMillan is not enough to win right now with this quarterback.
no,
They've
he
got
isn't.
a, they
Yeah,
need a combination and a strong combination for Carolina to win, and they're favored. I do remember that. I
they're
was
playing the
surprised.
Jets. They're playing the Jets.
Well, I'm telling you, if this coach could goof around and give Hubbard too much, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's, 60-40 Dowdle. And if Dowdle is producing, Hubbard could be eased back, it could go from 60-40 half one to 80-20 half two if they're in a drag out fight.
Yeah, and
I think
that's
it's game script.
yeah, and that's my big concern is it's game script. And in most of my leagues,
Mhm,
my solution between do I play Hubbard or do I play Dowdle
mhm.
is to play somebody else
Yep.
because I just don't have a lot of confidence in what this is going to do. In our dynasty league at FPPC,
We probably don't have a choice.
I have him in the starting lineup. The option, though, like Pacheco looked better last week. Okay. He was running with more authority, even though he only put up 6 points.
Mhm.
He was looking better last week. Like, this is a guy who looks like he's about to break through and get in the end zone. I'm wondering whether we start Pacheco over Hubbard this week
Well,
because
Pacheco was clearly dominant. So what you
clearly
were
dominant.
seeing,
Yes.
Dennis, he had the highest snaps that he's
Yes.
seen.
And he looked good out there. Like he was hitting the hole. He had energy. That Detroit Lions team has a pretty good front 4 and front 7, actually.
So what
And
has
he was doing
Pacheco
okay.
done when Rice has been on the field?
That's a good question. So last year,
Mm-hmm.
last year when Rice was all world,
Mm-hmm.
because he started the season really great.
Right.
Pacheco's first two games, 15 and 16 points.
So he was getting some taste.
He got a lot of taste. Those
Okay.
were, and then of course he went out with an injury
Right, right.
and was missing after game two.
Yeah.
So,
I think Pacheco, my gut feeling was a safer floor than Hubbard, which could shift if Carol, I believe it or not, I think if Carolina gets a couple touchdowns ahead of the Jets, then I think Hubbard will get more play because
yes.
they'll want to save Rico and so like I said in the second half, Hubbard it could end up being 50-50, whereas first half to get that two touchdown lead, it could be, 70-30 or 60-40 with Hubbard kind of, riding the pine a little bit more.
But
So, do you think they can dominate the Jets? I think the question on Hubbard. If you think they
yeah,
can dominate two touchdowns, then I think Hubbard is the play. If you don't, I think Pacheco's the safe floor, and we take our 10 and we're happy, even though Hubbard could get us 15 if it works out that they use him a lot more because they're dominating. But they may not dominate. If they don't, I think Rico, they're not going to stick him on the bench and let Hubbard go out there if they're behind even.
but what if Hubbard is indeed the better back and
Yeah.
he would have had the same, what if you think, oh, he would have the same performance that Rico had the last 2 weeks because he was going up against the
Yeah,
Dolphins
yeah, yeah,
and the
yeah,
Cowboys. That's
yeah.
where I'm kind of like,
Boy,
uh,
Dennis,
uh.
you love pretzels, don't you? You
I
do love pretzels. You like to twist it all around.
the pretzel is getting twisted on this one, but
Yeah,
like I
yeah,
said, my gut feeling, and
yeah,
usually in fantasy football, and when I say gut feeling, it's a gut feeling based on data. Okay, it's my first conclusion that I came to when I looked at all of the data.
yeah.
And my first impression, my first guess after looking at all the data and breaking this all down is I don't want any part of this backfield until it sorts itself out. And sometimes in fantasy football, you got to be willing to take the L because you could look really dumb either way you go on
Yeah.
this one. But
I think with Pacheco, you got a floor, and so you're mad about, say, a touchdown difference that Hubbard's there at 15,
yeah,
Pacheco got you eight.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't know if that's so, I mean, if you lose by eight, then that's just the way it is, Dennis.
And I think there's a
Pacheco's not going to
chance.
get zero,
No, and I think there's a
but
chance that Rico could be like 2 or 3 points. He
it,
could
it,
get,
it yeah, I just think Pacheco is safer. But
yeah.
if you can game script that Jets Carolina game and
Oh, not a
it,
clue.
well, see, there you go. I think
Not a
to
clue.
be safe, well, let me ask you this. In our dynasty, based on our opponent didn't have Chase, uh, their
No,
wide
no.
receiver.
And he was playing the Pittsburgh defense, which got him
Oh
a donut
man, so
hole. So I loving
he's in a
this.
bind.
He's in a bind. We got the
Okay.
Carolina defense, which should outscore zero.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We had Higgins lead off with 21 points.
Nice.
Feeling good about that. He's got A Shane in the rain and wind in
Yeah, no.
Cleveland.
I think Pacheco is probably the
Yeah.
safest move for us, Dennis.
Yeah. And looking at his lineup, we need safe
So
because he's got
you
some
can chew on me
uncertainties.
if I
Yeah.
led you astray, but
No, no.
sometimes safe is better because here's the thing, folks. You hear us discussing this, but Dennis has a lot of decisions to make, but he only calls me in, and I only call him in if we're really in a bind.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is how you should. You can't have it with Dennis. What about this? What about? I mean, it will wear him out. It'll wear me out. It's just not
Yes.
efficient to do
But
that. You pick your toughest spots and you use your friends that are good. Now keep your diary. Dennis is a little dodgy sometimes, but that I figure he's on a the karma's good with him with that Cincinnati. So I'm thinking he's hot for this week. So I'm going to roll with his advice. Last week he's a little dodgy. He had to call in those rigging refs to help his chief. So sometimes he's a little suspicious, but this week I'm feeling good about your picks, Dennis.
well, here's the thing, okay? And I don't think people even realize this yet. And maybe I shouldn't even share this.
Uh-oh.
But 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 I'm going to. What the
Uh-oh.
hell? What the
Uh-oh.
hell? So I bought the 1999 membership, okay, which
Oh.
entitles you
Oh, it
to
titles you.
three good calls in your team's favor every week. And you might
Yeah.
say, why would a ref throw it for 1999? Well, you don't understand. It's the
Yeah.
strength in numbers.
Yeah.
So
If everybody's calling in, yeah,
we've
yeah,
got
yeah.
140,000 people subscribing. That's a lot of money for the officials. So,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, I
sorry,
understand.
Lions fans, you did not buy enough
Yeah,
subscriptions
yeah,
because it
y'all,
evens out.
weak sauce, weak
They,
sauce.
they look at it. So every week they have a meeting right before they go out onto the field,
Yeah.
and they say, we've got $2.5 million in the bin from Chiefs fans. We only have 500,000 from the Lions fans. We know which way we're going to please this week. So I mean, it's
Okay.
ever
So,
since ever since Taylor Swift
yeah.
got all of her minions to buy subscriptions, we've got the edge, and
Yeah,
it's
and the
showing off.
t-shirt, t-shirt. They vote with t-shirt. So Dennis, I got
There
a
you
few questions that came up in my Snap.
go. Ooh,
People,
very good.
y'all can check this out. This is an interesting thing, Dennis. Not that I'm gonna dwell on it, but I sorted the team scoring usage. In other words, PPR per snap average for the position and high to low, so you can see who's doing what and where. And
Interesting.
yeah, you can see, look at poor Otten at Tampa Bay,
Oh,
4%. That's sad. Look at Kyle Pitts. Look at Hawkinson.
wow.
Yeah.
That sure
So,
explains a lot.
yeah. So this, sometimes I think you get caught up in it, and this pulling it back out from the player. Again, that top down view allows you to see things a little clearer. So I would definitely, this data is available for you to look at as well if you've got any flex questions. In other words, if you've got two tight ends and one of them's Otten and one of them's, Jawan Johnson, if you think one had an advantage, this would say you better look at Jawan again, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I
Yeah.
won't play Oden because we have DAPs and other things, but this can steer you up. And look with San Francisco with Tongas. Can you imagine with Kittle
Oh,
where they're going to
yeah.
be?
Yeah.
So there
Kittle
are
should be a
some
monster.
things, folks. And by the way, look at Seattle, JSN. Dennis, if he gets hurt, see, I think
Ooh.
Seattle just crashes.
He's
In
in
other
his
words,
own
if you
league
look at
right now.
if you look at their overall team, look at that
Wow.
wide receiver. They have a really interesting deal to where Darnold's not getting a lot of he's not a running guy, so all those are going to these two, and you can imagine if they lose their running back or a wide receiver, you could see what shape they're in. And look at Philadelphia, Dennis. Quarterback is running the show
Yep.
versus look at the wide receivers. Sucky, sucky, Dennis. So this just gives you another view that sometimes can explain things, and I think it helps you break ties and your lineups. So anyway, please look at that. But anyway, I have some quick questions.
Sure.
Arizona, Jay Jones, if he doesn't play and Wilson's out here, and if
Oh,
Harrison's out, is that Wilson or Dortch? I
I
mean,
think it's I think it's
probably both
Dortch.
those. You think
Yeah,
so?
Wilson and Dortch will get the snaps.
Yeah. I mean, Zay
And
Jones, I hadn't heard today's practice, but I think he
yeah,
was questioned. I don't think he practiced yesterday.
he
So
did
I
not
was,
practice. So yeah, and that's got me worried because I grabbed a lot of Zay Jones
I
this
did
week
too, cheap, but I grabbed him. I'm
because
thinking I'm
Harrison's
going to have
out.
to kick
Oh
him
yeah,
out, Dennis,
it's a possibility that you got
and
to
I
go
may
reach
go
for
get
something else.
Dortch or Wilson. Anyway, okay. Who is Casey Washington? I've
So
never
that
heard of this
yeah,
cat. Look,
yeah,
and
so
David Stills. I was sitting there
yeah,
looking. Who
yeah,
are these people?
so Mooney will be back this week.
Okay, well then that
Okay,
probably
so that
kills this question. What
probably
about for
drops it.
Dynasty? Is Casey a
He
rookie?
he has not been a player. Um, let's just put it to this
72
way.
snaps week one
Yes,
over
yes,
London. That
I
is
know it's
weird.
it's crazy, but remember, Atlanta's picking guys to
Hmm.
play
Hmm.
who can support that running game.
Okay, okay,
Casey Washington, 6 foot 205,
okay. I got you.
big man, big
So
man.
he keeps everybody busy out there.
So he got a lot of cardio. He got
Uh,
2 targets, no
okay,
receptions
yeah, but
last
I'm
week.
just looking at his snaps.
Yes,
Okay,
first year guy, first year
okay,
guy. So he came out of nowhere because Mooney's
okay,
down, Hodge
okay.
was down, and Ray McLeod
Yeah,
has basically fallen out of
yeah,
the coaching staff doesn't want him
yeah.
anymore. He was a healthy scratch without Mooney in the game. That tells you all you need to know. But Casey Washington was in the
Okay,
game because he can block.
okay. That's what. Uh, People are thinking that Coker is going to come back and give Leggett a run for his money. And given that Leggett is doing what he's doing, and I'm looking at these snaps, it, I don't think they have as much confidence Leggett as I thought they were. Because if you look, they're starting to spread it to other people. In other words, Leggett's not holding on to the second. I think when Coker comes back, he can be the second.
Yeah, I think there's a possibility of that. What I think happens initially is that Coker gets light work and he takes
But
over some
eventually,
of.
I think Coker. I think he's a potential good stash for a 2-3 type. I'm just warning you that
Yes,
Carolina is all
yes,
about the running back.
yeah.
So it's a bad team to stash on because of that. But if you're
Coker
desperate,
is Coker is a good investment. If first of all, for dynasty, is a
yeah.
fabulous investment. If he made it, if somebody was dumb enough to get rid of him
Hmm.
this year, sometimes those guys that start the season on IR,
Yeah.
they because people will run out of IR slots in
Yeah.
Dynasty and they'll let them go. And
Yeah.
I will always go shopping for the IR guys and pick them up. And if I have an empty IR slot,
Yeah. Like for
I
Jordan
will
Reed.
I will specifically go in and grab one and then and to put them on. Yeah.
Okay. So Chicago, I'm just trying to hit these quick because I know we got a
Yeah,
boogie on
no
here.
problem.
Uh, I hear Burden discussed, but when I look at it, it looks like Zacchaeus is above
Yes.
Burden. Is there something I'm missing?
Well, Burden, every time he's in the game, he is basically a primary target guy. Okay, so
But they're not putting him in there
they're
much.
scripting him for plays, but they're not relying on him when
Okay.
he is not one of the prime targets. So,
Okay. Okay.
do I expect that to change? Yes, but I don't really think like Burden's not a guy that unless I've got a deep bench and I've
Mhm.
got I've had injuries. I think I have one Burden share sitting in
Right.
redraft right now. I got a lot in Dynasty, but I don't know if we're going to see much of him unless something happens to the
Gotcha.
top guys.
Dallas, I think it's the Ryan Flournoy Turpin. I think that experiment's about over when
Yeah.
it looks like it's Pickens and Lamb and Tolbert, but
Yes.
I wouldn't rely on him. I think I'd
And
jettison those
yeah,
guys.
yeah. Tolbert isn't getting enough targets.
Hmm.
He's getting a lot of cardio, but he's not getting enough targets. And
Yeah,
Flournoy is he couldn't hold the job. So
yeah,
I you know I don't. He was a flash in the pan one week. He had a good week, but Pickens is just
yeah,
sucking the life out of anybody else other than CeeDee Lamb.
yeah.
CeeDee Lamb comes back. I don't know what that's going to do to Pickens' volume, but I
Hmm.
think both of them should be able to do well in that offense.
I have noticed that Isaac Tesla, I guess,
T-Slaw, yep,
he's starting to ramp up a little bit. He looks like
yes.
a potential. If I was in Dynasty, I'd probably want him.
I got a lot of him
Yeah, I
stashed on
would.
my
Okay.
taxi squad.
I knew that. I knew
He
that.
could. So
Well, if
he's a
something happens to
yeah.
Williams or Brown, he's Johnny on the spot there.
Yes,
So
and in the
injury
mean
handcuff for sure
yeah,
this
in
time.
in the meantime, he's earning more touches or more snaps because he is such a good blocker.
Yeah.
So they want him
Okay.
on that field. But if you're on the block, if you're there
Hmm.
because you're blocking,
Yeah.
because you're good at blocking, well, that's giving you opportunities when they do a play action pass to keep the defense honest. So I love seeing more snaps because they will turn into more production. That kid is a freak talent. He's
Gotcha.
he's got a he's got a great catch radius and he's tough in
He's
those
got that
50-50
stickum
balls.
on his hands. I know what he's got.
Oh man, he's got good. He's got the suction cup grip fingers.
Yeah, those
He's really
Spider-Man
good.
hands. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Houston, I just wanted to make note. Look at Cottons was second in snaps last week.
He's been dealing with
Xavier,
some injuries.
okay, so
Yeah.
just be aware of that. Okay, boy, look at the spread though, Dennis.
Yes,
It's
it's
like,
hard.
yeah, that's if you're a Collins owner, I would not be happy to see all this stuff.
And that passing game has not been
It's weak
super
sauce.
duper productive. Yes.
Alex Pierce, I've got him in a few places.
Yep.
If I need
Downs is out.
some, yeah, you might want to pick him up as I mean, I know Downs has been getting,
He's
but
Downs is out with a concussion. So
there you go.
Pierce is going to
Pierce,
be even more of a factor this week.
yeah, so be aware, folks. I think and he might still be out there. So I would get a dollar play on him, especially in week 8. He's
Yes.
one that I'm thinking might be, hopefully they don't have a buy in week 8. If they do, then forget that strategy. Okay. Nothing there. Who else? Well, I think Rice, people are telling me get rid of Thornton, get rid of
Yes.
Juju. Is
Yep.
there anything that I need
I
to?
I'd agree with that. I
Yeah.
think
They think
Thornton.
it's Worthy, Brown, and
Yeah.
Rice.
So if Worthy would re-injure that shoulder and he
Then
goes out,
maybe Thornton or
Thornton
somebody
becomes the
could
man.
come.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Hollywood's going to continue to get his 30 to 38
Hmm.
snaps a week. He is going to be the long decoy.
Yeah,
That's the role that Thornton was playing previously.
yeah. At the Chargers, people were talking about Keenan Allen, but snap wise, he's had a
Dropping.
couple good, but it's like he's stuck in this range. So I
Yeah.
think they've scripted him for what he does best and used him accordingly. And that means it's a spiky guy. I didn't know this Trey Harris. Boy, he spiked up with Quentin Johnson gone. Is
Yeah.
is is
Harris,
Johnson coming back?
Johnson will be back.
Okay, so Harris goes back
Harris goes back to being about a
the
25 to
fourth.
30 guy,
Yeah,
but I wouldn't be surprised to see Keenan Allen's share drop a little bit. He's been the third
yeah.
wide receiver in sets.
But
It's
he's
clearly
earned kind of that
oh yeah.
level.
Well, he's the dependable go get me the first down guy on
That's
third
what it
and
looks like.
six, third and eight.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you need safety, I've been playing him as a safe play.
they're keeping him fresh for when they need him to get those tough first downs. So he's still a viable fantasy football play.
Yeah.
He's just not going to be the 15 to 20 point guy. He's more like an 8 to 14 point guy.
Whittington looks like he is somebody I picked up cheap. You advised me to, and I did. Puka is out. So it's Adams, Whittington, and
it's going to be Atwell.
Atwell's back. Then he'll
be back. Yeah, he was a healthy scratch that week when they had all of their complement. Mumfield and Smith play on special teams as well. So that's why
Whittington, for $1.
Correct.
You
Whittington is a good guy to stick in there. He had a couple of good games last year when Cup missed time. So Whittington certainly has some upside.
So tell me about Besh. If Myers is out this week, it looks like he's the second dog.
Besh is a complete fill-in for Jacoby Myers. Okay, so the biggest problem with Besh is he is best. Here's the weird thing with the way this team is built. Myers, Tucker, and Besh are all better in the slot. You can only play one guy in the slot.
Crazy.
So Myers, it's just kind of weird that you got three really good slot guys.
Yeah.
And that's why Thornton was seeing some time, but now Besh is starting to take over. The Thornton experience.
Well, I was just thinking he might be available for $1 if Myers is out.
Very impressive looking rookie too. In fact, some folks in Dynasty Fantasy Football before the NFL draft, they were talking Besh in that same discussion as the next guy after Egbuka. So they were really high on him.
Okay. Let's see. Dennis, I hope you don't mind. This is kind of just, I had questions here.
No, this is good.
Diggs is been efficient, but he's had some problems.
Yes.
And when I see these snaps, I see Butte has been dominating versus Diggs. So I picked up Butte again. I dropped him.
Yep.
And now I picked him back up. So he might be a play. I would not pick up Demario Douglas. Is that
no? And here's the thing with a good young wide receiver.
Yeah.
If they start making some real spectacular plays, they're going to get more opportunities because that quarterback wants to look good. So he's throwing to the guy who's catching the ball and he's got a chance of getting open. Diggs is a good, solid player, but his athletic skills are starting to
decline,
slow down.
Yeah.
Now, but he's still like a Devontae Adams, I can find an open spot kind of guy. But Butte can break every play for a long gain. He is so elusive. He's so fast. He's got good hands. This was a kid at LSU the year before he came out that was rumored to be a first-round draft pick in the NFL. Incredible skills, but he had a bad last year in college and some injuries, and he went cheap, and now he's there, and he's making the best of his opportunities. Sometimes when you do that, you get more opportunity.
So yes, no, little Jordan Humphrey, if Slayton, Neighbors, they're out,
and Robinson's even banged up a little bit coming into this
sounds like
week.
There's another $1 play. Everybody's asleep over there. Okay, little Jordan. You had tipped me onto him as well.
He's a big man. He's 6'4".
Well, I just like the snaps there.
I love the big wide receivers because they can be valuable in a variety of ways.
Right.
So I do like him. I'm playing him in some deep leagues this week.
Okay. Pittsburgh we saw last night. Nothing really. I think if JSN is ever out, Torrey Horton might come up, right?
Horton is returning kicks, and he's been incredibly efficient in his offensive snaps. He has gotten into the end zone. I want to say his first 4 times he was targeted, he had 2 touchdowns.
Right.
So
Okay.
he's a good playmaker, and he's getting red zone looks already, even though he's not on the field that often.
Right. Uh, the San Francisco, I don't think Pearsall's back. They're just, I guess Jennings is and Bourne are the dogs.
Yep.
And I don't see anything else. It's lean. I think when Kittle comes back, that hurts. Somebody loses. If it's
Bourne,
Kittle,
yeah,
Bourne, or
Bourne's gonna,
Jennings,
yeah, Bourne's and Jennings will lose out
somebody's going to lose.
because Kittle and McCaffrey will be the lead targets.
Yeah,
Okay,
I agree.
And don't bury Tonkus yet, because look at Tonkus's snaps. Look at his snaps in the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I'm not
even
throwing him away yet.
Yeah, even when Kittle was playing, Tonkus is out there. Tonkus has earned his playing time, and I think with their wide receiver core so banged up, I think he's going to see a lot more play. I'll spot play Tonkus in a few spots, figuring I can get 4 to 6 points.
Yeah. Tez Johnson in Tampa Bay is the play that I inherited a lot of him. I was glad over Cameron. That's how that's how you tipped me. That's how I did it, right? Is that
and I think
anything changed on that?
No, here's the thing is I think they're fairly equal as far as what opportunity they're going to get. But if Evans comes back, I think that's going to affect the other Johnson, not Tez Johnson. I think Tez Johnson is going to get an opportunity with Godwin and Igbuka out.
So is Chris Moore worth any kind of play in Washington? Because Terry's out. And maybe Samuel's questionable.
Yes. So
or is it somebody else?
So let's say let's think worst case that Samuel and McLaurin are both out this week.
Yeah, McLaurin is out.
I think Jalen Lane steps
you think
up.
There's the one that picks it up.
I think Lane might pick it up, and there's a possibility that they get a little more out of McCaffrey, but Lane is the guy that I think would pick it up.
Nice. You like that? It was good to go through.
That's good, because that's a good exercise to go through, because it helps me sort of think my way through some of these as well.
Yeah. Okay. So this week, I think we're going to do the matchup, the Squirrel and Husky, and let's see. That's probably going to be.
Yeah, they're pretty easy to pick this week, aren't they?
Yeah. So you can see Washington, Dallas, and Detroit, Tampa. And then, we might have a little bit of play.
Well, there's been a huge adjustment in that Cleveland-Miami game because of the weather. So that over-under is all the way down to 37 today.
37.
So they're reacting to the weather issue.
Okay, so that's coming.
As they should. This is a significant storm.
Okay.
We're not talking just rain. We're talking lots of wind. Like, there were talk that, there was somebody at the Weather Service that said in his briefing said they could see 50 to 60 mile an hour winds.
Gotcha. That's crazy.
Yes, they could, but that'll be with thunderstorms. Okay. So if there's a thunderstorm that's producing 50 to 60 mile an hour
they're not going to play in that because
they're not playing football for a while, for a half hour minimum, after the last lightning strike within 10 miles. So that game could be delayed. That game could end up finishing in the evening. But sustained winds, there's a big low pressure system that isn't even really formed yet, that is going to spin up over the Midwest tomorrow. And then by Sunday, it's going to be anchored over the eastern Great Lakes. It is going to be windy. I mean, we're talking 20 to 30 mile an hour sustained winds.
Wow.
That's not gusts. And then gusts 35-ish. So, we're talking 25 gusts 35 is what they'll be playing in with rain. And then probably, I'd say about a 60% chance that they're delayed because of lightning. It's a significant storm, and it's going to be a major impact on the game.
Gotcha. Power rankings this week. Here's people can look at that. We talked about these Wednesday. Philly, Detroit, KC, Indianapolis, Dallas, Seattle are all expected to have lots of goodness, scoring yards, lots of good stuff happening there. Some of the ones to be Tennessee, the Raiders, Jets, those are concerning me. Arizona concerns me. So these are the ones I'm cautious about. These are the ones I'm looking for more goodness coming for fantasy, moving away from these. And Dennis says only play one major player out of here and play multiple players, sometimes play them all on these guys
And
here.
the only exception would be if somebody's in that far right category
Yeah.
and they've got an easy or an extra easy matchup.
Yeah.
I might play more than one, and we saw that happen with Cincinnati
Boy,
last night. So
Cincinnati, that was
they,
such a crazy daps. Everybody was
it
easy.
was so
But
easy. I mean,
Dennis, here it was. If people want to see it. If they didn't
yeah.
see us Wednesday, look at this.
Well, here's the thing.
It was to play them all. How
They
could
used
you
to
not?
they used to call this the steel curtain defense in Pittsburgh.
I don't know what curtains
It's
they have now.
it's
Paper mache.
lace curtains.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful little lace curtain setup that they
Let me
have
tell
there
you,
for
folks,
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, I actually heard people talking about Pittsburgh's defense, and it's
Oof.
like, what?
I
Anyway,
heard
I
them.
didn't, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have time to get on TV or whatever and debate these people. Let them,
John
I didn't
John
know what they were.
Gruden John Gruden
Yeah.
said the day before the game, I love watching this Pittsburgh offense or defense play football. And he was showing all these plays.
Mm,
They can sack the quarterback, but that's all they can do. They and this Joey Porter Jr., I think I think his dad might want him to change his name
yeah, that's
because he's been
bad.
getting torched
Yeah.
lately. And Joey Porter Sr. was a hell of a football player.
So, Dennis, we're saving the highs and
Yeah,
lows.
let's pick some in the
So,
middle.
you want, I know we're
Yeah,
going to do Kansas City and Vegas because you
and we're
got to
gonna
do
do
that.
and we're gonna do New Orleans as well. So
Yeah.
let's do one other one. Let's do Indy
Mm-hmm.
and the Los Angeles Chargers.
So we're talking game 9 here. Let's see what we got. Is this game 9? This game 8? Game 9. 25, 22, 1.5 points, 48. That's getting pretty good up there, Dennis, as
Yes, it
far as
is. It's
some nice
yep.
scoring. So we might get more scoring than usual when we talk about this. But boy, if you look at Indy's journey into this, they're playing away. That's never good. And look at the Chargers. Indy better. Taylor is going to lead Indy. If Indy wins, it's Taylor's about a 2-3 score game.
Yep. Yep.
Looks like their kicker's pretty good, and their defense, believe it or not, is weekly. I'm not using them this week, but weekly streamable.
Yes, they are.
Chargers, on the other hand, it's play the passing, play Quentin Johnson, Keenan Allen, McConkey all day long. Just good luck picking the touchdowns. The tight end might have a day. I would not play the defense. Chargers running game is going to be a little bit, they're going to have to earn their biscuits a little bit, but it looks like it's all about the passing. Indianapolis has been really good in efficiency yards and over time, so they've been really good, and the Chargers really bad. So the Chargers are favored, but the efficiency would say exactly opposite. So we're getting, but the defense, and again, efficiency doesn't measure defense as much. Indianapolis at away, Dennis, they don't like to rush or pass as much at all, even though they are improving. I wish they were at home because I
Yes.
know Taylor would be just eating it up. 27% more Taylor activity at home. So they're going to have to go against their trends in their away trends, Dennis. And, I don't know, hadn't done enough data to know how that works out. Chargers love to be away, Dennis. At home, they're 26% less efficient at home. I don't understand it. Away, though, they don't play good, but at home, rushing and passing. So it's funny. It's like they can do a lot of activity, but apparently they can't win games at home.
Yeah.
So that's weird. So that's what the metrics say. What say you?
I say I like Indy in here, and I'll tell you why. First of all, they are indoors again, and this is a team that loves playing indoors. When they played in this stadium just a couple of weeks ago, they did lose, but they put 20 points up on the board. I don't think I think 20 points might be enough to beat the Chargers.
Yeah,
I think this game is an under. I do not think, the Indy's not going to light up the scoreboard, but the Chargers have been struggling to light up the scoreboard. So they've been closer to the 20-point average. And Indy has been very, very efficient, and they're playing indoors, which they love to do. And that Chargers home field just doesn't give them an advantage. Like quite often when teams come into play, it sounds like the opposing team is the home team. There's so many people there at the stadium from out of town. The Chargers don't have that big home field advantage, and it shows in the data. But I especially like the under, and I like Indy. But the reason I like Indy is the one thing that they do well is control the ball with the good running game. And there's the above for Mr. Jonathan Taylor, who has
oh
been
yeah,
one of my favorite guys this year. Well, let's go to that New Orleans
yeah.
Chicago game.
Chicago is
So this is going to
favored,
be a
Dennis.
windy
Ooh,
game.
I
I
don't
mean,
want to hear that.
we're talking 20, 25 mile an hour
Oh,
sustained wind and stronger gusts,
that's not good. Don't
likely to be a crosswind as well.
that
It's
that
going to be a,
depresses me anymore. The only
yes,
way the New Orleans has been having a shot is their passing.
yes.
Getting Rashid Shaheed in there and collecting a long score. So now I got to think, do I want to move him out a little bit? Olave is very consistent, and I think you get a nice PPR floor with his targets and catches. So I'm not so worried about him, but I may have to move Shaheed out. I'm not sure I'm playing Jawan Johnson now that I'm hearing this. Uh, 28-18, about a touchdown difference, 47, still pretty good. Chicago at home, looks like Saints will stop the run, so Swift is going to have to be Swift, and he's got a little bit of injury, so I'm not
Yeah.
sure what we are going to watch that. I'm concerned. I do have his handcuff, but I may have to flip to him, especially in a windy game. They may run more. So, but this says passing Adunze. If the wind wasn't a factor, Chicago would have a great advantage in the passing. I wouldn't play either defense. New Orleans way easy on the run and the quarterback. Wide receivers, I'm not worried about Olave. I wouldn't play the kickers if it's windy or the defense is here, Dennis. Efficiency, Chicago 71, New Orleans 45. They're close, but Chicago has the advantage. New Orleans loves home 16% more. And so that's another concern. New Orleans, when they're away, Dennis, rush 14% more. Passing not different. So we need Kamara healthy for the
Yes.
Saints. If Kamara is out, I know Miller might be better, but I would want to see a healthy Kamara here to think that the Saints would have a shot here.
Yeah, and I don't think the Saints
Have a
are going to
shot.
get this one done.
Yeah.
I like Chicago in this, but I especially like the under. I don't think this game gets out of the 30s, mid
Because of the
30s
wind.
or lower. The wind, but also I don't think either, like New Orleans offense away from home has been in the teens.
Yeah.
So I think they're forecasted right. I think the Bears are about a 21 to 24 point team here.
Yeah.
In the wind, that might even take it down a little bit. So that's mid to upper 30s is what I'm thinking. I think this is a substantial under play. The only thing I'll say about the Bears passing attack is Ben Johnson has a really strong short passing game, and Caleb Williams has an arm that can keep the ball from wandering. Versus New Orleans, who likes to throw. What do they like to throw? They like to throw those 10 to 15-yard passes on the sideline to Olave, and they like to throw the deep ball to Shaheed. I think both of those get neutered in the wind. So I like Chicago, but I especially
that kind of talk.
Especially like the under. All right, last game of the week, Las Vegas and Kansas City.
Okay, what game is that here? Let's see. I got to go back. I don't remember when it is. Oh, here it is.
Should be game number 1 in the script for
NFL.
Yeah.
It's game 4. Kansas City 34, Vegas 10. 12 point. That's a hell of a spread, Dennis. Do we believe that? Does Kansas City really need 34 points to whip Vegas? That over under, I'd be afraid that could go under just because Vegas doesn't get much and Kansas City doesn't need much to beat them. So I'd be cautious about those kind of plays here. I think Kansas City money line's the way to go, and you won't get much for it. So you probably have to, you'll have to parlay them.
Yeah, they're minus 800 right now.
Oh my goodness.
On the money
You're
line.
You're gonna have to really parlay them. Kansas City home. The Pacheco has a shot here, Dennis. Kelsey's Kelsey. I would definitely play the KCD because I think Vegas turns it up, turns it over. So nothing really worries me. I know it's just tough on Mahomes, but he's been doing it, and the referees will rig it. So it'll be all okay. There'll be nothing to worry about. Play them all, but be aware that Pacheco's, I'd be playing Kelsey, Mahomes, and probably Rice for sure for me. Vegas is away, and they're going to have a tough situation across all of them. It's not incredibly tough, but still, it's really rough against the Meyer. I know people are using him. This might not be the week to use him, Dennis.
No.
So I think KC can shut down him, and I'm worried about what's going to go on with Vegas. It could be a horror show there. Efficiency 64-6. Whew, that's bad. KC loves home, 28% better.
Yeah.
And it's all about they're going to be rushing and rushing and rushing.
Yep.
And they don't need a lot of passing to win this game. So I think Pacheco may have an opportunity here, Dennis, to get us a nice floor. Vegas loves home. They're away 32% less efficient.
Woo!
Look at this. They could be 0. It could be bad. And they're going to pass more, 12%, rush less. So they're going to be behind and passing. So it might be a Trey Tucker kind of floor day if Myers doesn't play.
Yeah, I like that actually. I like that Trey Tucker play to
get a floor.
Put him in your flex because
somebody's gonna get some targets. So yeah, I think Trey Tucker is a secret play there that you can get you a nice. If you need a 10 to 12 points, I'd play him.
So everybody on Trey Tucker says, "Oh yeah, you're just chasing the points because he had a couple of big games." No. Here's the thing. So 6 weeks into the season, He's got 4 of his 6 games over 11 points.
Yeah.
That's not a bad. He's got the big 40-point game when he went absolutely nuts. Right. Do I expect to see that again? Probably not. He's never, he only does like one of those a year, but he should be able to get you 10 points. Like, he's going to get opportunities because Kansas City is going to put up points. This is a different mentality for Kansas City.
Yeah.
And they are going to come out. They're going to come out chucking this ball. They're going to come out. They're going to build a lead, and then they're going to run it. And they're going to run it down. They're going to have success both passing and rushing. Normally, you've heard me over the years. A 12-point spread, I will not lay that with the Chiefs because the Chiefs don't like to win by big scores.
Right.
They just beat Detroit handily.
Yep.
A few weeks ago, they had a big win as well. Point wise, I think they have no problem covering this 12. So I'll take that bet, but I'll take the under on this because I think they get to 30 and they might put the gear down and just rush the ball and slow the game up a little bit. But I see them coming out because this is like a strong college team with their opening game with a new quarterback and wide receiver combo.
Yeah.
And they want to see how it works. They're going to want, I wouldn't be shocked to see them target Rice on the first 3 plays of the game.
Yeah.
Just to show the league he's back and to show that chemistry. I think Kelsey has a big game despite the daps because I just think there's too much for Las Vegas to cover. So that's the way I see it. I hope I'm right, but I'm going under in all 3 of the games that we forecasted here
and
on the Science of Fantasy Football.
And before we sign off here, check out Dennis's articles, Leader of the Pack and Looking Backward, Reasoning Forward. I like both of those. It gives you a perspective. Check out my snaps. A couple of weeks I may follow up on that. It's a lot of effort. There's a lot of figures to make there, so it's not necessarily easy. And the more money we make doing this, Dennis, pays for all my time. So yeah, we don't make any money.
Yeah, I think our subscriptions are up to 40,000 a week now.
Oh yeah, at least 40,000.
So.
The few that listen. I hope the snaps helped you. Check out Dennis's stuff. I want to say that sets the table, but folks, use your diary, use common sense.
Yes.
You got to think about things. You got to keep records. And if you don't want to keep records, then you're just asking for the fire without chopping the wood. And you just, long term, you're going to be in the same boat and you won't progress. So you got to keep track of things. And if you want to win and crush this endeavor, we are afflicted by our love of this game. We're not affected, we're afflicted. We need medicine.
Yes.
Anyway, that's what I say. Check out your articles. I really enjoy as I look over the editor's shoulders, and I really like to kind of I'm feeling after I read it, got kind of some really interesting thoughts, and I put it together and look at my lineups, and it just allows me to think a little with clarity. I don't have the TV going. Kids are not on the trampoline jumping around. Dogs are not killing each other. In a quiet place, go to your man cave. I have it's kind of a closet, but it's kind of a nook. So I have a little corner where that's what I'm allowed in my home is a man nook. And I turn my back to the family and work on my stuff. So that's what I get.
Well,
anyway, I wish everybody good luck this week. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to need some good luck with all the injuries. I
and
have
the weather. I hate to hear that
Yes,
weather.
the weather. And you could follow me at D Mike Media. I'll have an update on the weather Sunday morning for you before you have to set your lineups. So head on over to the Science of Fantasy Football. A lot of good stuff for the professor's data. Trust me on this, folks. The snap data, you want to go through that video and listen and learn, because the professor has a unique way of breaking down the data. Check out my articles. Head on over to the Sports Affiliation and catch the Matchup Lab, which we will be recording next. And come on back here next Wednesday for another edition of the Science of Fantasy Football.
Get to work, folks. Okay, let me shut this down.